Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this panel on corporate social responsibility and excellence, perspective from the Indo-Pacific region. I'm Alfred Quek here, your moderator from today. I'm representing AmCham Singapore. So joining me today are business leaders from AmCham Myanmar, AmCham Malaysia, as well as AmCham Thailand. So today's panel presentation will discuss some views and updates on how businesses are practicing CSR in this region. As respective leaders in our AmChams, we'll also be discussing trends as well as changes to the CSR landscape due to the COVID-19 situation. From here, as your moderator, I will allow each of our panelists to give a short overview, introduce themselves to us, and offer a perspective on CSR. Please, can I have Scott to kick us off, followed by Lillian, and then lastly, ending with Jenny. Thank you, Scott, please.
Certainly. So good morning or evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Scott Chang. I work for the Ford Motor Company, and I'm based here in Thailand, where I also serve on the CSR committee here. COVID has obviously been such a challenging time for all of our members here in Thailand and for our car company. We're a manufacturing-focused company, so during this quarantine period, it was difficult to make cars, but we've gotten back to it. And corporate responsibility, I think, has been top of mind for AmCham members and certainly for Ford during a time when companies have the opportunity and indeed the responsibility to take a little bit more action than they potentially usually would to take care of their employees, their stakeholders, and our neighbors. Ford, I'm really proud to work for because we've done some really incredible things, not only globally, but right here in Thailand. Our plants, for example, in Rayong, which traditionally manufacture trucks and big vehicles, turned, and we started making face shields. We started working with universities to prototype respirators. We started to work with our suppliers and gather a whole group of people whose expertise is to quickly make new product, to instead of making tires and windshields and other things, start to make medical supplies. I myself at Ford am responsible for working on the philanthropic side of the business, and we had a community center that we opened just a few months before COVID struck. And this little group of 9 different NGOs that worked at the community center right after the crisis were able to do some really incredible things. Over the course of 6 months, they came together with a cluster and a very smart way to deliver care to communities that needed it. And in a very short period of time, we were able to send out over 1 million meals across all of Bangkok to specific targeted communities in need. So I guess it's been an interesting time. It's been an exciting time. The car industry that I work in has been under disruption for quite a long time now. I think in this latest blip, and hopefully we'll come out of this, and indeed all of our members will come out of this a little bit more clever and a little bit more smart. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Can we have Lillian now?
Thank you, Alfred. Hi, I'm Lillian Wong, and I represent AmCham Myanmar, and I am the country manager of visa to Myanmar, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here today to just share some views and our experiences in how we're contributing to the betterment of the livelihoods of consumers, of businesses, of countries through the adoption of digital payments. So our company, our industry is in digital payments and innovations. It's a technology company. So when we talk about in Visa, we talk about CSR. It's not a project, and it's not philanthropy either. It's really the purpose and the core value of how we do business. So when you look at our business mission, it's really to connect the world through the most innovative, reliable, and secure payment network, which ultimately enables individuals, businesses, and economies to accelerate growth and really to thrive. And last year, in 2019, Visa signed up for the Business Roundtable statement on the purpose of a corporation. And that was really a significant moment because through this continued evolution on the role the private sector plays in society, this really reflected Visa's commitment, I would say, towards our vision of an inclusive and sustainable environment. And and we do that through service to a broad set of stakeholders. We work with our clients, our employees, local communities, government, regulators, our investors, the greater society, and our planet. So really, we've seen the shift from focusing solely on shareholder interest to the interest of stakeholders of the entire ecosystem. And so it's really we look at CSR as our purpose, to work towards an inclusive and sustainable environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. So now representing AmCham Malaysia, we have Jenny. Jenny, please.
Okay, thanks, Alfred. So hi, I'm Jenny, and I'm honored to be invited to participate in this panel discussion representing AmCham Malaysia. And I also sit in as a co-chair for the AmCham Care Malaysia. I work at Keysight Technologies as the Director of Communications and Customer Experience for Malaysia and Singapore. So Keysight actually is a global technology company, and we provide solutions in advanced market like 5G wireless communications, IoT, next generation of automotive, and aerospace and defense. So, and our customers use our products actually to test and validate their technologies and devices. So in essence, what we say is that, we help our customer to accelerate their innovations to connect and secure the world, right? So for Keysight, our vision is actually to build a better planet by accelerating innovation to connect and secure the world. And while employing a global business framework of ethical, environmental, sustainable, as well as socially responsible operations. Therefore, at Keysight, we are committed to the betterment of society and the environment in every aspect of the business, from the products we make to how we run our operations, and all the way to direct efforts in philanthropy, STEM education, sustainability, community building, and nation building programs. And during this COVID situation, when it first started in March, it was actually very challenging. So, as you know, airports, were closed. So, products can't be shipped out and all that. So we actually work with our customers, especially those medical customers that need to still continue to produce their medical supplies, to all these countries that require them. So we help them to reprioritize, work with our supply chain to make sure that we can actually prioritize and ship it to them first. And in fact, internally, apart from doing some CSR work, we also have a team of engineers that actually helps to build splitter, and ventilators to actually help during this challenging time. All right. So yeah, a lot of happening has been, very challenging, but I'm glad that, we are able to overcome it. And we are now operating in full mode now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Thank you very much to all my distinguished panelists for giving a brief introduction, as well as telling us what they have been busy with during this COVID period. Now, if I may start off, being the moderator, I have the privilege of asking the first question. So having said that, if I may ask our panelists, why is CSR such a big focus for your business, especially as a business value? And especially so, is this practicing enduring even in this time of COVID? So if I may, I would like to ask my panelists to help enlighten us on this topic. Thank you.
Sure. Why don't I kick that question off? So I guess doing good has a proven effect to be good for business. Establishing that goodwill, but it's much more than that. It's much more than that. The private sector has a responsibility to drive meaningful progress in the society that they're in. It's expected of us. It's expected from our employees. It's expected from our external stakeholders. So we're committed to being a leader and working collaboratively to towards an inclusive and sustainable future. But what does that mean for us? I mean, what does that mean for Visa? It really means that we must continue to take direct action to create pathways for the underserved, who are excluded from the formal financial system. We need to bring them into the formal financial system. It means that we must invest further in the small and micro businesses, to help the economies through this crisis, through the COVID-19, and have them come out stronger than ever. We must continue to take urgent climate actions in support of the transition to a clean, decarbonized, and sustainable economy. So it's, we recognize we don't have all the answers all the time for this, but given the business that we're in, the industry that we're in, we know that we can always be part of the solution to that. Is it enduring through COVID? I would say it's not just enduring, but it's even more important through this pandemic. That CSR is an integral part of the way we do business. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Scott or Jenny, do you have anything else to add to that?
Sure, I'd certainly echo that during COVID, it absolutely is amplified the need for a responsible company. And why companies do it, I think for Ford and many other companies out there, a simple thing is stakeholder demand. And there are so many stakeholders, but your customers. We make a car. Our customers want a safe, fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive vehicle. They wanted that pre-COVID. They want that during COVID. During COVID, they want cars that are reliable and that can deliver services in challenging times. They want an employer that will keep them employed and think very carefully and responsibly about how to, if they have to, furlough and change their business operations to reflect things. I think that COVID, if anything, makes the call to be responsible not only more difficult because it is challenging economically for a lot of industries, but it really puts it under the magnifying glass. How you treat your staff at this moment in time, how you interact with the government during a time of need, how you work together sometimes with your competitors at this moment is probably more visible and more felt, more deeply felt than any other time. So absolutely, it is a value statement. It's important. It happens all the time. COVID has made it all the more important.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Lillian. Today, we are really indeed fortunate to have AmCham members, and some of them with us today are from Myanmar, from Malaysia, as well as from Thailand. So if you look at the background that Scott has, it looks beautiful. Okay, I'm sure he is in Thailand right now. So we know Lillian is in Myanmar, and Jenny, I suppose you are in
Malaysia.
In Malaysia. I'm in
Right.
Singapore. So
Okay.
in that context, with all of us in different countries at this moment, if I may ask the panelists, what does CSR really mean in the context of our countries? Is there a way to grow this practice within our region, in the Indo-Pacific region? Each of our countries may have a unique perspective. So it may be good to hear from each panelist here about the rewards and challenges of undertaking CSR activities in each of our countries, represented today. Thank you. Again, I may ask perhaps Jenny to start off, followed by Lillian, and then lastly by Scott. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alfred. So I can't really speak for the entire country, but an important element that I want to stress on is on how KISA is working with our local government on nation building and preparing the country for a technology-based knowledge economy. All right. So, I mean, this is the basic principle that a stronger nation with competitive economy and solid education foundation will subsequently uplift the livelihoods of its people and its surroundings. So in terms of CSR, KISA actually helps to work in collaboration with the government to develop the nation, which goes beyond collaborating with the government. We actually focus on three main areas in terms of that. First is in terms of technology expansion. So as you know, in KISA and Penang, we actually cultivate expertise in high technology. And what we do is we actually proliferate our expertise by working with the government, the research body, the universities, to further develop these technologies here with them, right? So an example is that we work with actually University Technology Malaysia to establish the Malaysia first 5G propagation lab to actually catalyze cutting-edge 5G millimeter wave research and accelerate 5G deployment in the country. So, with the expertise from our side in terms of technology and all that, we work very closely with the universities to actually help them set up labs and all that. So this is just an example, right? So the other thing that we are working on is to make sure that we develop the high technology ecosystem. So these are the ecosystem partners that we are working with around in Malaysia to make sure that we can actually move them up the value chain and be more competitive. So in this area, we actually work closely with also the government, which is the Ministry of Industry Trade, to actually develop a set of local entrepreneurs to upgrade their value add through the development of their technologies and IP. So, as you know, KISA is a high-tech company. So what we do is we do technology knowledge transfer, working with this small SMEs company, through developing products, design, and manufacturing our products. And so far, I'm glad to say that this company have actually since grown, and they have developed their business and gone to serve international customers and become very, very successful, right? Some of these small SME are even, on the board listed now. So it is a great success to see that. And finally, what we are doing in terms of CSR is also working with the government on talent development to cultivate a culture of innovation. So in this area, we actually work with a lot of the Ministry of Education. Like, for example, we work with University of Malaya on this project called CEO Faculty Program, where our VP actually sits onto the board for an electrical and electronics faculty in University of Malaysia. And the objective of this program is actually to share knowledge, experiences with students and the university's community, right? To give them and guide them on mentorship, to the students and the lecturers. And we even have lecturer attachment programs where we have the lecturers come over to our facilities there and work on a specific projects. And in addition to that, we also work closely with with the universities to create curriculum that is industry relevant. Because a lot of the time, you see students, they study a lot of theory in the universities, but when they come to the real world of working, it may not be industry ready. So these are the good programs that we can actually develop them and work with them on a curriculum that, from an industry perspective, what is a requirement from us, so that they can actually put it in as part of the curriculum for the students and make sure that they are graduate ready. And there are other things also we are working with them. We are also having the what we call the KISA RF microwave industry ready student certifications. So this one, we actually teach them hands-on on RF microwave design and measurement techniques through a comprehensive curriculum. And at the end of it, they actually get a certificate. And with this, the students actually can, when they get out and work, in the real world, they can actually use this certification as one of their credential to apply for a job. So these are a few of the things that we're working in terms, with the local Malaysia government, developing the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Anything to share, Lillian? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I think CSR in terms of the context to Myanmar is really it's no different. The principles are no different from the way we operate in any market. So we do feel that it is our responsibility to help build stronger and more sustainable communities, and we do that in our business. We do that by bringing innovative digital products and services into the marketplace and throughout the world. But we partner with all the stakeholders in the marketplace, and partner with them to address the critical gaps that we have in the market. So, for example, in Myanmar, financial inclusion is a big thing. Financial literacy is a big thing. We partner with the government. We partner with our clients. In delivering and addressing these gaps in financial inclusion and financial literacy. We also encourage and enable volunteerism by our employees. We support local causes. We support communities, and it's not just through times of crisis, but we do this throughout the year. So essentially, we're embedded in the society, and there are several. We partner with all the stakeholders in the ecosystem in different ways. To address the gaps that we see in Myanmar. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. Scott, any wisdoms to share with us? Thank you.
Hardly wisdom, but I think that Thailand, similar to a lot of other countries in East Asia and similar to a lot of companies, has transitioned from seeing CSR as a nice charity thing to do, a philanthropic giving, into maybe a bigger picture around sustainability. So it's hard to go to a government meeting now that's in this field that talks about CSR as just a philanthropic endeavor, which I think is a really great thing and a nice pivot that you see in a lot of countries. If Thailand is special when it comes to sustainability, I guess it would be it'd be just like every company is special in what they should be good at when it comes to sustainability, would be my point. At Ford, we have to be good at making cars that are fun to drive, that are fuel efficient, that are manufactured well. Well, Thailand is a country that's really well known for tourism and hospitality. It makes a big part of the economy. It's also why it's so challenging during the context of COVID. Another industry that's often neglected from a GDP perspective is the agriculture sector. At least half of the people that live in Thailand are employed by the sector. So if Thailand could do anything well, and I think if you look at any of our countries and you thought about what's this country's main contribution to the world from an industry perspective, from a service perspective, from an ideas perspective, if they could do that one thing just a little bit more sustainably, I think that would have a huge influence. So in Thailand, we've got lots of rice institutes. As I mentioned, agriculture is a big deal. So if we can change that the way that rice is produced and manufactured and exported to be a little bit more friendly to the environment, nicer to people, I think that's a huge win for the field of sustainability overall. The one thing I'd love to see, maybe not just in Thailand, but across Southeast Asia, one important partner, and there are so many partners for a company to do CSR well, that I think perhaps needs a better structure to formalize and allow them to grow, is the civil society sector. And it's a tricky one because there are so many political implications to that, but you really need strong partners that don't sit so much in the private sector space and are also not perfectly government to come together quickly and speak to the needs that exist in countries like Thailand. And I'd encourage AmChams and embassies in the region to look a little bit about giving that sector some strength to do some really great work. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Yes, indeed, it's true. I'm eating Thai rice as well. So I'm glad we have farmers working in Thailand, working hard to give us our rice in Singapore. So thank you very much, Scott, on that. So if I may, I'd like to bring us back to a question regarding culture. And that is, in your respective companies, how have you guys built a culture within Ford, Visa, and Keysight that values CSR? Are there best practices? Are there specific practices that you can help to share with us so that it can benefit our communities as well as to build our businesses, or at least to a larger audience who is listening into us? Thank you. So if I may, I would like to ask Lillian to start first, followed by Jenny, lastly with Scott. Thank you.
Sure. So I think the biggest change, as I referred to earlier, the biggest change that we've seen in our company is really the move from focusing on only the shareholder interest to the stakeholder interests, which is uh, a huge. There's several stakeholders, right? There's the communities, there's the employees, there's society, there's the planet. There's several stakeholders, and I think it's the shift of a singular focus to the entire ecosystem. And it's interesting because our that's what we've committed to through our statement at the Business Roundtable. But the World Business Council for Sustainable Development has a really a priceless statement. And their statement is, business cannot succeed in a society that fails. And it's a very powerful statement. And what it really means is that CSR needs to be integral in the way we do business, in the way our business is done. And we believe in our network, uplifting everyone everywhere. In the past 30 years, we've reached out to the underserved across the world, across markets through the world. And, through investment in development and dissemination of tools, we have tools such as practical business skills, tools such as practical money skills. In all of our market, we've reached out to, we've been reaching out to, I believe, over 40 million with our tools, the dissemination of our tools, and across 42 countries. So it's really we've also employed various assets, our finance, technology, skills, and insights to really empower economies to become financially and digitally inclusive. So it's been it's a journey. It's absolutely a journey, but it's really a focus that I think is now ingrained in the culture of Visa. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Lillian. So, firstly, in order to build a corporate culture that values CSR, you need to align your business goal with CSR goals. And for Keysight business and our CSR efforts are actually deeply synergistic. And our commitment is to positively impact the global community through the products and services as well as CSR program. That is very important. And as she mentioned also, it needs to come down from the tops down, right? If the top board members are not supporting it, then CSR will not make a difference in the company culture, right? So, and it's not just about doing the right thing. For Keysight, it has become part of our company DNA. So it's just simply what we do every day, from the products and solutions that we develop, and all these technologies will actually ultimately transform the way people live and work. And we also ensure that, in terms of our products and services, it also adheres to the highest standard so that we do not endanger people and the environment in any way. Because CSR is not just on, communities, but it also encompasses, products that you build in terms of environmental and socially responsible to make sure that, it is safe for everyone. And of course, for our employees, we also ensure that, they have a safe and inclusive workplace that values diversity while offering challenges, work, and fair opportunities, to develop them. And the other thing I want to cover is that, for example, CSR, it is not only, benefiting the community when you do it, but in a way, it also benefits the company, right? So for example, just take Keysight, for example, right? We develop our products, right? So when we do that, of course, it will meet what the customer is requiring. But at the same time, there are also other considerations, like, in terms of the hardware size, the weight, the power, the cost, what are the parts or materials that we use to build the products, so that, it has to be a very safe, and, we do not use a lot of all those like non-green parts and all those things, to make sure that, it does not go through the supply chain and ultimately ship to the customers, and eventually, when you dispose of them, it goes into our landfill, right? So, and, with this consideration, it also helps the customer to reduce costs for those of them who buy the products. Whereas for the benefits of the company, when you do that, it actually reduces costs for the business. It improves our product specs, and in a way, it also helps, to build a reputation for the company from the customer basis. And the other example that, will actually help to build and benefit the community as well as the company is, the area that I focused just now which is on STEM education, right? So when we start to build and prepare the next generation of, students from primary to tertiary, in terms of teaching them, technical skills, how to use technologies and be creators of technology. So ultimately, this one actually will also spill over to the business, because by doing that, by developing this, young generation people and all that, it can also help us to have a ready future workforce, for the company ultimately. So that's how it actually benefits not only the community but also the business as well in that. So I believe that CSR is is a prominent part of the business world. When companies are working with CSR, they are not benefiting the society but also the company itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny.
Hey, so I think we were asking a little bit about the culture and how do you build this culture in the company and what it means. So because I help oversee a lot of the philanthropic work at the Ford Motor Company, I'm often the mouthpiece for CSR, but it's not, being a responsible company is not my job. It's the job of everybody at the company. I'm really lucky at Ford because our chairman, Bill Ford, is a lifelong environmentalist. He was the, for example, first global CEO to speak at a Greenpeace conference back in the 90s. And so we've got it at a senior level. And I guess the big things that need to tick and change a little bit in a company is that, one, folks realize that CSR is everyone's job, that it needs to start sort of at the top. And then things like a volunteering program or a lot of internal communication about responsible business practice give people the opportunity to flex their muscles and say, I can take advantage of what I do really well in my job and use that to benefit the company and the community. One of my favorite global programs that we run is called 30 Under 30. It's a way for us to grab our employees while they're quite young and impressionable and also have a lot of energy, where we run them through a consulting process, where they learn to be sort of consultants. They come from a lot of different branches in the company. So they're purchasing people, finance people, HR people, marketing people, and we pair them with an NGO, and they act as consultants for this NGO over the course of 3 to 6 months, and they come up with a solution. They help the NGO, they volunteer in the meantime. And through this volunteering program, they get to realize, oh, Ford cares about a lot of these things. Ford's able to take advantage of what we're good at and employ that and deploy that for communities that need it. So I think the biggest thing in the culture is to make sure that CSR is everyone's job and to give folks an opportunity to really see that at work.
Thank you, Scott. Indeed, it's true. In the company that I worked in, right from the chairman down to the CEO to everyone on the shop floor, we really look towards CSR as one of our core responsibilities as well. So I think I would like to check in to ask all our panelists. It would be remiss of me not to ask a question about COVID-19, especially about how CSR practices have been leveraged during the COVID-19 pandemic. So how has CSR changed in your businesses in this year, 2020? Has it changed at all, or did it not change? If any event has changed, how have you responded to it? So do you think any of these changes that you have made to your CSR activities, as well as all your efforts, do you think all these changes are going to be long lasting, or will they revert back to normal after we have, let's say, a vaccine going on into the community? So if I may, I would like to ask Jenny to start off, followed by Scott, and lastly rounding off with Lillian. Thank you.
Thanks, Alfred. So if you ask me, I mean, from a company perspective, I don't think we change any of the way, in terms of our CSR culture, right? But however, with the COVID situations, of course, we actually put in more effort and more resources to make sure that, we overcome the challenges, not only from the customer side, but also from our employees to ensure the employee safety and their needs are taken care of, right? And also the society, of course, right? So let me start with the society. So for example, in Malaysia, under the umbrella of AmCham Malaysia, okay? So during the pandemic situation, we really can see the rally, from all the companies, I mean, members of the AmCham as well as the Malaysian American electronic industry, they actually come together, to actually support this donation drive during this pandemic situation. And you can really see, the passion and the commitment that this team have. We had a meeting on a daily basis, via WhatsApp, via meetings, telcon, and even emails and all that. So what we do was that, it's an effort to systematically match the member company's donation with the needs of the country in urgent and timely manner. So for example, if this company come back and then we even start a spreadsheet to say that, okay, this company, wanted to donate in kind, for example, the surgical mask, or they wanted to donate cash, right? Then we mesh it against, like, the MOH, the Ministry of Health, the hospitals, the clinics, or the frontliners, what do they need? So that we match and we give the right thing to the person or to the society that really needs that. So, the team actually works very hard, rigorously to actually overcome that, right? And in fact, under this AmCham Care, we actually we collected, I think, over $1.65 million just during that short period of time. And you can see, the response from the people. The moment you put into a WhatsApp to say that, oh, this hospital in Penang or in KL needs something, you can see, responses pouring in to say that, oh, this company, I can donate this, I have this, I can deliver and all that. So people really pull together during this time, and it's a great thing to actually see all around Malaysia that, everybody really cares and make sure that these are important. Right. And, from a company perspective, like I say, we also have our own program, right? We call it Kisai Heart. So this one, we actually have a few things that we do, like, helping hand, we donate medical needs to the frontliners and all that, to raise fund for masks, for meals from the frontliner. And the other thing that we also want to make sure that our employees are kept engaged during this time. As you know, when this thing happened, there are group of employees who have to work from home, and then some may have to work on site and all those things. So, and we have to make sure that, in an effort, we need to make sure that employees continue to engage and energize, being productive and high performing individual despite of what is currently happening. Okay. And at the same time, we also work very closely with our customer to help them, to attend to their needs, expedite and even rerouting shipments and all that, and prioritizing their orders for them. And of course, being a responsible and employer and citizen, we also make sure that, like I say, a lot of SOP has been created in place in-house to make sure that, employees are aware, they abide to that and keep them safe, and even our ecosystem partners and all that. So in a way, we actually make sure that everybody is taken care of during this pandemic situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Scott, please.
So I mean, I don't think it's too obvious to say that COVID's changed everything. It's made everything more complicated. It's made logistics tricky. It means that we're having this call on the phone today instead of together in person with an audience and sort of engaging. And for CSR programs, it's changed everything as well. A simple thing that we do at Ford every year, a global volunteering month where employees go out and volunteer. We can't do it this year. We had to do a virtual version, which was very lovely, but it changed it. I think that what really you can see from a company that's been doing CSR consistently over time and a company that's sort of getting into the game now because COVID requires a response from most large companies in some way, is that if a company has invested a lot of time in understanding the cause of a social problem, understanding why people are hungry, understanding why job training is so hard, understanding why an ecosystem is hard to protect, then they have a really strong understanding of a problem. And at this moment, that problem is probably amplified because of COVID. And now, with all these logistical problems, they have had to become a lot more creative at addressing and finding a solution. And so I'm seeing a lot of really noble and lovely efforts from companies that are donation-based, and donations are really important at a certain point in time. And I'm also seeing companies that have had programs that sort of rolled along, and during COVID, so there was a lovely, again, Thailand hospitality industry. A lot of American hotels that are based here used to help an NGO around serving meals. And during this, and what they did is that they used their leftover ingredients and donated them to communities in need. During COVID, once people were really struggling because they were losing jobs, they already had a ready set network of 15 communities close to their hotels that were struggling pre-COVID, struggling even more now, that they were able to directly funnel resources into because they'd invested into understanding the problem, invested in the partnerships, and were able to come up with some pretty clever solutions quickly. So I think that what COVID hopefully does or has done is sharpened and made more effective some of the programs that were very thoughtful, and hopefully gives those companies that use COVID to start something an opportunity to try to sustain and build something moving forward. And the last thing that AmCham did that was really brilliant in Thailand, and I've seen a lot of the other AmChams in our region do, is that they partnered really well with the embassies and on their own social media platforms, and they showcase the good work of all of the members that are here on the phone, but all of our AmCham membership, because I think at this very tricky time, when a lot of people are just frankly afraid, and people want calm, consistent, good information to go out there. The fact that our AmChams and our embassies were out there talking about different American companies, different members of AmCham trying to do good in Thailand, maybe it was PR, but at this point in time, that good news, that spurt of positive creativity, I thought was excellent, and something that I've not seen in the last couple of years while serving in the AmCham CSR committee. So seeing it so top of mind for our stakeholders was great. So I think COVID's changed things a lot, and hopefully some lessons will be for the better, but also hopefully a session like this can be done in person one day soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Scott. Lillian, please.
Yeah, I think really COVID is it really accelerated certain areas of focus, I would say, in CSR. For example, the small and micro businesses, they're always an area of focus for us. Especially, for example, in Myanmar, it's 90%. SMBs make up 90% of the businesses here. But through COVID, we recently launched something where you called Where You Shop Matters, a Where You Shop Matters program. And what that program is it encourages consumers to support their local businesses, while it's helping the SMBs to go digital. It was not I mean, it was not an easy thing just to pivot overnight, literally, into the digital world. When COVID hit, and so this program enables SMEs to go digital and get onto digital uh, platforms quickly. Um, but again, this is part of that was a reaction to COVID, but it's part of a greater strategy that we have where we're committed to support 10 million SMBs across Asia Pacific alone. And earlier this year, Visa Foundation committed to $210 million to support SMBs and for immediate COVID emergency relief. So it's really, it hasn't so much changed, but it's accelerated certain areas of focus that we already had. Um, and similar to as Jenny and Scott stated, I think from an employee mental well-being perspective, it's really changed the focus into uh, just the way we work. So most of our employees are working from home, and
Right.
and so the mental well-being um, was critical. We constantly, I mean, besides reaching out, taking pulse surveys and everything, it was really hard. It was a very big change for our employees. It's hard to when kids are at home and you're in the same household 24/7 with kids running around, and they're not in school, and people didn't necessarily have the infrastructure here to handle working from home. I mean, here
Yeah.
here in Myanmar, my team members, their electricity went out for 7-9 hours, a day. Their battery ran out, on their laptops. They couldn't recharge. I mean, it's a lot of the Wi-Fi kept going down, and
Right.
it's just there wasn't an infrastructure there too. So it really it in looking at it from a CSR from a well-being perspective too, it's really changed how we support our employees, and how we support other employees, because for example, most of us are working from home in markets where the first wave was over and they weren't under lockdown. Our CEO said, I'm not in a rush to get everybody back into the office, because we've learned to continue to run our business working from home, but I'm not going to clutter up traffic, in markets for people who actually do need to go someplace to get a paycheck, the factory workers, for example. And so he deliberately said, we're going to stand back. We do know how to work from home. We can still be just as productive working from home, and let the people who do need to physically go to work to get a paycheck um, go first. So it's just the way we think about of employees, our employees, other employees, it's welfare has changed dramatically.
Yeah, definitely, Lillian. I agree with you. I mean, for us also, when we first say that, those who can work from home will work from home. People like say, oh, I don't have proper table, chairs, and all that. So we even allow them to bring back their office monitor and all that, so that they can work more comfortably at home. Yeah. And then later on, we say that, if you need to buy certain things, we allowed you to do that, like headset and all that, and to make sure that the employees, because when they don't go to work, they don't meet their colleagues and all that, right? So we do a lot of virtual programs, online, that employees can participate and all that. So at least they still do communicate and see each other, through Teams, through webcasts and all that. So to keep them motivated and all that. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm mindful that we are at the top of the hour. So I am afraid this is all the time that we have for today. So if I may, I'll just quickly summarize what we have discussed about today. I think we do hear from Scott as well as Jenny that in this COVID situation, your companies have stepped up to work together with the governments to build ventilators. I think this was the initial phase where everybody was in short and dire needs of ventilators. I think we do hear from Lillian very specifically that in your companies, and of course all our other two panelists has very good points as well, that CSR is viewed as a core value. And I think in Ford as well as in T-Side, that's also the same thing as well. You have clearly identified who are your stakeholders that you wish to work with. And in Scott, besides working with the NGOs and the key stakeholders, you're also working with your competitors, working together to make sure that you get all the activities in your CSR moving forward. So in Jenny, we hear that nation building is very important, and that you have worked together with the government of Malaysia and even the Penang state government to get certain things moving so that the lecturers, the students can really be equipped with a skill, especially at this point in time where everybody is worried about it.
Right.
So with that, I wish we have some technology, perhaps from T-Side, we are able to send across some applause to thank our panelists for joining us and offering their valuable time. Thank you very much. And let's hope we all live through this. And we hope in one day we'll be able to meet each other in person. Thank you. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank
Thank
you.
Scott.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Alfred.
Lillian. Thank
Bye,
you.
Lillian, Scott. Bye.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alfred.